Hey everybody, so before we go on to Chapter 4, Lesson 7 today, I wanted to review our notes from Chapter 4, Lesson 6. So what we did yesterday was divide whole numbers by fractions. So we learned what a reciprocal is, which is any two numbers with a product of 1. So we needed to flip the numerator and denominator to find the reciprocal. Okay, and then down here we had our strategy for how to divide whole numbers by fractions. This was our example problem, 5 divided by 2/3. We had to rewrite 5 as a fraction, so every whole number has a denominator of 1. We changed the division sign to a multiplication sign, and then we wrote the reciprocal of the fraction that we had. So the fraction we had was 2/3, and the reciprocal was 3/2. Okay. So that's a brief overview. Let's go on to Lesson 7. Alright, so your notes should look exactly like mine, should have title at the top, and friendly reminder to put this in your table of contents. Okay, so today we are learning from Lesson 7, divide fractions. So as you saw in Lesson 6, we divided a whole number by a fraction. Today, we are dividing fractions. So instead of having a whole number, we're having two numbers that are fractions. So let's start with writing to divide fractions. To divide fractions, this is what we're going to need to do, and I'm going to draw an arrow so we know to look over here. So if you remember from Lesson 6, we used the strategy to rewrite the whole number as a fraction, change the sign, and then to write the reciprocal. This is going to be very similar, it's just going to look a little different, and we're going to be saying this all the time in class. Same, change, flip. Okay, so we're going to be saying this all the time. So what this means is we're going to keep one of our fractions the same. First fraction is going to stay the same. We're going to change the division sign to a multiplication sign, which again we did in Lesson 6, and then we're going to flip the second fraction. So we're finding the reciprocal of the fraction. So I'm going to write that in parentheses. Okay. So let's start our first example. We have, let's solve 2/3 divided by 1/6. Okay, first thing we're going to do is keep this fraction the same. Well, I'll just rewrite it over here how it originally is, and then we'll make those changes. Okay, so I'm going to keep this fraction the same. And I'm going to change this division sign into a multiplication sign. Okay, and last step, I'm going to flip this fraction. So what that means is I'm finding the reciprocal of it. Okay, so now I did all the work. Before I multiply, I need to simplify. So I'm going to rewrite this so I have my simplify step. I just wrote simplify over here so that we know we need to do that. So two numbers that I noticed have a common factor are 3 and 6. They both have the number 3 in common. So how many times does 3 go into 3? 1 time. How many times does 3 go into 6? 2 times. So then I can just multiply the numerators and denominators. 2 times 2 is 4. And 1 times 1 is 1. So my answer is 4. Okay, so just remember, same, change, flip. Okay, we're going to be saying that a lot in class. Keep the first fraction the same, change the sign, and then flip the second fraction. And then you can simplify and multiply. So one more thing I want us to do, I just want to talk about the assignment we have to do today. So I'm just going to zoom in here so you can all see. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's telling us to find the answers. So we got to solve problems G through F, it looks like, or G through L. And then once you solve, you're going to find your answer around here. Once you find the answer, you're going to put the letter right above it. Okay, so we're going to do one as an example as a class, and then you will get started on that. So let's do the first one. Let's do G together. So let's write on the button. That's what the worksheet is called. And we'll put that we're doing G. So G is 1/5 divided by 2/3. So I'm going to use our strategy up here. I'm going to keep this fraction the same. I'm going to change our division sign to a multiplication sign. And I'm going to flip this last fraction. Okay, so I'm going to find the reciprocal of it. Now I'm going to check, is there anything to simplify? And it doesn't look like there is. So now I can just multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. 1 times 3 is 3, and 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, so my answer is 3/10. So now I'm going to look for that answer on the wheel over here. And I found it right over here. So I just highlighted that to tell myself I found it, and I'm going to put the letter that problem was right on the outside. So that letter was G, so I put a G right next to that number. So that's what you're going to be doing today. And I'm just going to highlight these so we know what steps we use. So they should be the same highlighted color for above. Okay. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will be happy to help you. Thank you.